As you listen to today's episode of the podcast, I invite you to go to markdillon.com/87. That's the number 87. That will bring you directly to today's episode, which includes links for everything that is shared in the show. I think it would be a fair statement to say that out of all the people that I've ever met who eat plant-based food, somewhere along their journey, they've wanted other people to also join them on this. And typically, it's the people close to them, family members and people that they care about. And for the most part, almost exclusively, what I've seen is that most people don't join you on this path. So in a sense, you need to walk this journey by yourself, knowing that there are others who are doing this, and then being okay with the people that are closest to you not joining you. For today's guest, Elvis Gardin, he's been eating plant-based for a number of years, decades actually. And he took in his mom, who was elderly and needed some care, and he began feeding and offering her plant-based vegan food. So on today's episode, I had the chance to speak with Elvis, and we talked about his path and his journey to eating vegan, and also the journey of bringing his mom along and caring for her, and then ultimately seeing the positive effects that eating this way made for her. Let's first check in with Elvis along his path and his journey to begin eating vegan, plant-based food.
It all began when I was about 10 or 11 years old. I had a cousin who came up to visit. It was the year my dad passed away, and she was vegetarian. She enlightened me to that entire world of vegetarianism. I had not ever heard of such a thing, but I loved her spirit, her style, the energy about her, because I was an empathic child and I could feel things, and I knew that I had some sort of ability with that. She basically taught me at that time, at such a young age, how to combine certain foods without using animal products. I would take that on for about a year. It was very easy for me. It was actually easier for me to live that way at school rather than at home, because I had older brothers, my mom, everybody ate meat. So it was a very uphill battle for me at the age of 11 years old in the autumn of 1976.
You came into my radar through Ingrid. She kept telling me there's this guy that posts these amazing videos with his mom. So please tell us about how you have taken your passion and your great knowledge and you've shared this with your mom.
Oh, my mom is my buddy. She's my best friend. We've been through it all together. My mom is currently 89. She'll be 90 in January. She's got quite a journey, and a lot of it is intertwined in, I guess, some of my, issues that I had growing up. My mom was classic bipolar disorder, and I grew up with that. And from a very young age, I had to grow up very fast, protecting her from all sorts of things, getting off the meds, the entire spectrum, running with scissors like the book, even worse. Well, eventually what would happen over time, and the doctors did warn that maybe her kidneys would go or she would kind of drift into some other place, and that ended up becoming dementia. I moved home in 2008, in the very beginning of 2008, to take care of her. And it got progressively more dangerous and worse at home. I was working full-time in New York, and I had to find a safe place to put her in. I found assisted living and put her there. For 3 years, she would be there, and her health declined. I took her out. I'm cutting through a lot here, and actually I have a book that I'm writing, and it's called Dimensions of Dementia, Bringing Our Worlds Together. So I get very descriptive in the book and in the film. I Want to Live a Mother's Love Returned. Basically, she wanted to live, and that was her quote. So I took her out of there, and I put her on a plant-based diet, and in no time, she was off of all the meds she was on. She was taking 34, or they were pumping her with 34 pills a day. When I got her on a natural food diet, it was no time at all that I began detoxing her with just fruits and juices and things like that, and just cleaned her out. So she went basically from a wheelchair to bouncing on a rebounder in the backyard and dancing and all that. So those are the videos that I like to post on Facebook, and that's probably what Ingrid was talking to you about. And it's just awesome to see her come to life again and to watch her senses open back up as I keep her off GMOs, as I keep all of the toxins that kind of led her down this path out of her body. It gives her body a chance to recover.
That's a powerful, powerful story. And how did you make that happen? I mean, this is something that, did you prepare all of the foods for your mom? How did you bring this together so that she could have this incredible turnaround?
I grew up in the kitchen with my mother since I was so small I had to step on chairs and stand over watching her make food. She's a Southern girl at heart, so she wasn't vegan by any means. So I always had a natural gift in the kitchen, and I'm the type of chef, and I am a chef, and I do say that I'm a food artist and a holistic enthusiast. I don't need to use measuring spoons and all that stuff. Where they would tell me that she was losing her appetite because of the disease, I knew that she was not losing her appetite because I would bring her these power smoothies and she would gulp them down like an alley cat on your back porch. So I knew that her brain wasn't dysfunctioning. She was just starving in there. I started to give her plant-based foods. And, it's very easy for me to figure out what might be going on and just make things accordingly. My food tastes incredible. It's pleasing to the eye. The textures are magical. And, I don't tell my mom, oh, Mom, would you like a plant-based strip of bacon or, tempeh strip? I'm not going to go. To her, it's bacon. She's 89 years old. I'm not going to say, Mom, would you like a vegan? It doesn't matter. And that's what I go back again to the irrelevance of being politically correct in the way that we say certain things or how we get people into this movement of living. So I don't get into all that. I'm like, hey, Mom, I've got some fish coming for you and some okra and some rice. I don't tell her, oh, it's organic brown rice and the okra is this and it's Gardin fishless fillets. And that's fine. But it's perfect for her age. So now she doesn't have the joint issues. Her arthritis went away. She used to get edema a lot, gone. All the little issues that became serious issues, pre-diabetic, all that gone. Anemia, gone.
So how do you do this, Elvis? Because I think that a lot of people, just for themselves, often feel like, oh, this is too big. This is too much for me to take on. And yet you're not only doing this for yourself, but you're helping your mom as well. So how is it that Elvis makes this happen?
I often ask myself that, Mark. I'm like, how in the world do I do all this? Because if people actually got a glimpse at what I did, I probably would scare them under a rock. But at the same time, the paradox of that is the fun that I have in what I'm doing, because it's a labor of love. I love making food. I love trying to find ways to make it easy and effective. I love to be able to teach people how to morph one meal into the next, how to cut time, how to always plan ahead when you're vegan, how to shop properly, how to read labels. All this stuff did come over time. And this is what I try to tell the vegans who start, and I'm always in conflict with people who just want them to jump right in and grab a picket sign and get into the movement, man. And you can't do that. This is a very deeply layered process. I did go to school in New York, the Swedish Institute, and I learned Eastern and Western medicine in there. It was a school for massage, but it's just an incredible school. It's like going to medical school. So I learned a lot about the Chinese dietary theory and Chinese traditional medicine, anatomy and physiology, pathologies, and all sorts of stuff. It was just always kind of a natural gift for me with that. So that was a plus coming into this world. So I don't read a lot of books, but I do a lot of paying attention. And I would say for people who are trying to convert, don't go right to the last semester of college. Don't try to go in and jump to the 12th grade. Start slowly. People like to get the most intellectual books because these are the books that are usually recommended. I say start with Fast Food Nation. Watch Forks Over Knives. Take it slow. Because I think that what happens here, Mark, is people have to really, really feel what it is that they want out of this and ask themselves, is their life that important to them, important enough to make some necessary changes? I would say start out simple. Just get grains and beans and things like that and learn how to make the most out of those and utilize them. Get some greens. Just slow down.
You have this strong commitment to this is how you live. What is that? And how do you have that, but still be able to hold it so lightly?
I just feel like this should be as easy a part of life as pouring a glass of water. It shouldn't have to take a bunch of math. When my ancestors were here, or even when my mother was a little girl, before all this manufactured crap started, they didn't sit there trying to figure out all these different things. Well, I've got this, and I've got that, and I've got to do this, and combine this with that to get that. It was all natural. There wasn't all this rocket science. It doesn't need to be that today.
Yeah, we live in an information society, and it feels like, and I'm sure you see this as well, people that start this journey often want to find out as much information as they can, get as many recipes as they can, and especially like the nutritional side. And as you said, if we just go with the basics and don't worry about it, it's almost like that much information can tip us into an overwhelm, which then makes it more difficult than it really is.
For me, I just learned through time and through maturity that slow and steady wins the race. I'm not in this to gain all this credibility for this and that. I mean, sure, the work that I am actually set out to do, I'm sure I'll have great effects from these causes that I'm putting out. But the whole purpose or the umbrella of it is to help raise the consciousness and the physical health of humanity, and save animals, and save the environment, and all these different things. But if I got involved in every single area, I would go crazy. I don't have time to go out and picket and protest. I have a mom I take care of full time who needs 24 hours supervision. So I do get to go out and enjoy life, and I get to go out and enjoy the environment. I love all that. So I do my activist work behind, in the way that it works for me. So I think people have to really figure out what it is they want from this, take it step by step, and figure out how it will work for them. Not sit and become intimidated by somebody who comes on and they're an intellectual, firebug, and they're going to say, well, it's this and that. I learned to tune those types of people out because it doesn't serve my best interest.
Elvis, I would say for the majority of us, we live in a community that doesn't have a lot of vegan or vegetarian restaurants. So for yourself, what is it like for you to go out and eat and things like that? Do you find that getting great plant-based foods is easy as you go out and about in your own community?
It's funny, I'll tell you. I make food all the time. It reminds me of when my dad was alive. We ate out. Very rare did we get the treat of eating out. Because my mom always made everything from scratch. And it's funny because I do like to eat out, and I like to go out, and I have my select places of vegan restaurants that I'll go because I know that maybe the tofu there isn't GMO and all those different things. I'm not so extreme about that, but I'm aware of that. So I myself won't just go to the local Chinese place here or Thai place and have the tofu if I think it could possibly be genetically modified. There are places that I go to who are more health conscious and all that. But if you're beginning, all those things come later. Because even if you're eating veggies that aren't organic and all that, you're still making a huge difference in your body rather than choosing the Wendy's takeout dollar menu. When I go out, I always think ahead. When I go to barbecues, I just don't isolate myself from people I love, and some of them are just not where I'm at. We're all in different lanes, man, on the same track field. I used to be that way, but after time, you learn to kind of cool down, and calm down with that. I try not to judge. Some things might tick me off that I see, and then I'll voice and let off a little steam. But I try to get back to that center and recognize the divinity in everybody. Everybody wakes up at a different time.
Yeah, let's talk a bit about that, because I think a lot of people feel this need to convert everybody, and oftentimes convert them right now. This is it. You must put down that hamburger. How do you hold it so lightly that you're planting the seeds? Can you talk a bit about that?
People have a hard enough time just trying to get out of bed sometimes, man. And it's just not for me to put a muzzle on somebody, to put a shackle on somebody and force them to do what I think that they should do. Especially when somebody has been believing and living one way their entire life. That's like me, if you had a natural cowlick on the right side of your hair, and I'm trying to force the left side to part and close that. It's just not, it doesn't happen that way.
Well, let's kind of transition into some food. So could you share with us a recipe that you really enjoy?
I'd like to share with you something that I named Cleopatra Loves Caesar's Salad. The reason I named it that is because the classic Caesar salad, which most people love, has chicken, chicken breast, and then it has the romaine lettuce and all those things. And then it has usually the egg, the dressing or whatever, the Caesar dressing, the classic Caesar dressing. So I call this one Cleopatra, one, because the dressing is made with some tahini, and also because I use a seasoned baked tofu that I make from scratch. It's just a simple traditional dish, and I make it with caper berries instead of anchovies. And I think I might have added a little pinch of dulse or kelp, just to give it a slightly little, for the mind, limbic system or whatever, the olfactory or whatever it is, I forget right now. But give it a little bit of a seafoody kind of flavor. And it's really delicious. So when people look at it, it really is kind of similar to a chicken Caesar, but without all the cholesterol, without the death, without the high saturated fat and all that stuff. And it's very filling, and it's decadent, and it's delicious.
Well, Elvis, you've shared so much with us today. If the listeners would like to stay in touch with the work that you're doing so that they know when the book is coming out, when the documentary is coming out, what's the best resource for them to turn to know what you're up to?
You can follow me on Facebook. You can go to It's Vegans Talk. You can also like my page, Living on Vegan Energy, which is also on Facebook. There's also my love blog. It's called Love Blogging with Elvis, and that is livingonveganenergy.com.
Well, Elvis, thank you so much for sharing everything you did today. It's really been informative and very inspiring as well. I really appreciate your time today.
You bet. Thanks so much, Mark.
As I mentioned at the beginning of today's episode, I invite you to go to markdillon.com/87. That will bring you to the blog post for this episode so that you can get all of the links that Elvis shared in today's interview. Thinking about your path and your journey to eating plant-based, if you have somebody close to you who's also on this journey with you, how wonderful is that? It's really special and it's unique. So understand that if there isn't anybody close to you that's doing this, you're still not alone. Elvis is on this journey. His mom is on this journey. I'm on this journey. There are thousands and thousands and thousands of other people who are here with you, enjoying great plant-based food. So until the next time that we get to walk this journey together, go enjoy some great plant-based food. And do take care.